Hello everyone, it is Christine here, and we have received a new prompt for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery for our Field Notes journal, and the prompt for this 2-week period is winter visitors. So I guess with the idea of thinking about the animals that we might see coming into our landscapes within winter. And so I've had this panel floating around my craft room. I hadn't folded it up and put it away. I'd got it, I think, at the last, the previous before the last de-stash sale at the Embroiderers Guild of Victoria, and I remember it was a bit mothbally, so I'd washed it a couple of times, and I think I'd just been airing it out. It doesn't smell of mothballs now, which is good, but I think it's a Japanese, like one of those hanging towel like sort of panels, so it's a quite light cotton, and it goes from a beautiful sky through beautiful birch forest down to this lovely stag. Got little big snowflakes actually, and a river with ice flowing through it. And so it reminded me of two places. One is Alpine Victoria, where they do have these deers and stags, and they will wander out onto the road at night time. So you have to be careful if you're, for example, driving back from Wandilligong back to Bright. But it also reminded me of the landscape in Japan, where we've been lucky enough to go and have some white winters and some snow seasons in Japan. And so I'll try, if I can, pop some images that I took on some of our Japan visits with some of these beautiful snowy scenes. So I'll see if I can pop them at the end. If not, I'll put a link to a community post where I will pop them, or I might pop them in the Facebook group that we have for our slow stitching friends. So the pages that I'm creating in my Field Notes journal are this size, and so I started off thinking, would I just take the section of the panel where the stag is, like that. Let me just sort of pull you up maybe a bit more. Just pull you up and twist you around a bit. But then the problem I felt was it would be cutting off quite a bit of the foresty scene, and I quite like the forestiness. So the idea I have, which I'm going to start off with you, is to take the stag, to cut the stag out, and then to move it up further on the piece so that I can have more of the beautiful trees. So I'm thinking maybe probably bringing it over to this edge, because we'll have a bit of cutting happening over here. So if we position it something like that, remembering that we're going to move the stag up, then we'll have this amount of lovely tree. And where we'll be cutting up with the antlers of the stag, we won't be impacting this scene up here by having it coming across that far. So what I have done in preparation is I've put a interfacing on the back of it. It's a cotton based interfacing. It's one of those ones you iron on, so it's got a slightly sticky side once it gets ironed, so it adheres itself to the fabric, and it's just going to give a bit more substance when I cut it out. So I think it will help. Now the other thought I've had, just to make this sort of entirely my own rather than just stitching into an existing panel, is to use some of this quilted pillow sham as a bit of a snowy scene. So what I'm thinking is that I'm also going to cut around the base of the trees and then insert this behind it. Now I could use the back, but I don't think the back could be a cotton. It's a little bit brighter than this side, but I think I prefer the look of, it's a little bit softer here. It probably depends, because like the snow can get quite bright when the sun is on it, but otherwise I think this would be quite good. And I've had another idea to possibly do some little stitching in with some little like prints, like rabbits or possibly a little dog print, because I saw quite a few dogs in the snow as well. And I found this when I was going through my stash for Thrifty Thursday, just in the video, my last video. There was this cute little rabbit, and it's actually probably a nice little colour, so it might be able to go and be put somewhere. And I also noticed further down on the panel there's a little mouse peeking out, so I might find a spot for him, maybe up somewhere near a tree or something. So I think we probably need to cut into the panel. So what I might do, don't think I'm too fussed if I cut across here, which is where the backing interfacing is. Sometimes you've just got to get going with these things, don't you? Worst case, it won't work, and I'll have some bits of a panel to use. Okay. So I might just sort of cut him out a bit more loosely initially. I have to kind of work out where his antler would be going. It does sort of blend in a bit with the trees, doesn't it? So I'll try not to go off camera. So I do hope you're having a lovely day, a lovely afternoon, lovely evening. Hopefully you're getting some crafting time. So we'll put him to the side, then we will work out so I think we'll bring this down. That won't give us much snow, will it? And I'll probably, where we don't have anything up here, I'll probably extend the snow a bit more up here, I think. So let's maybe clip this piece onto here where we want it to be. Let's have a little look how he would look if he was standing in the midst. Or do we take it a little bit up? I think we need to go a little bit up, maybe actually to about there. Let's just get one of my little clippy clips and have a look how that looks. Let's put our little rabbit out of the way. And that's okay because we're going to have the snow down here, and if we need to just maybe add a bit of the tree back in, I can always do a little bit up there. I probably shouldn't have cut quite so far around there, because then he could stand down here in the foreground. I think that's going to work. Do we need any more? And it won't actually have too much. Yeah, and I think I can just probably have the snow coming more up, like it's a bank going right up the mountain. So I think that will work for sure. And it's only this tree, and we've still got this tree in. So yeah, I think that's good. So just so we don't have lots of weird bits kind of hanging around. And I can always put this also on another base piece if I need of fabric, because all of these will be wrapped around cards as well. But let's just leave enough to sort of do the wrapping around, but we don't need to have it too far across. Just okay, so we'll put that to the side. We'll definitely keep that to use in other projects. So this will be like that. Then let's get our snowy sceniness. Now, what do we want to do? We probably want to cut down around these trunks with this one I'll cut this bit out, so we'll cut round there. So I think, yeah, that's probably actually what we need to do next. I'm just wondering, oh, that's okay actually. I probably can unclip it for a moment anyway and reposition it after I'm done. Thinking aloud as we go, so I think I'll just cut where essentially I'm going to then position this over the snowiness. And I haven't decided exactly what stitching, but I'm thinking little sort of like sketchy stitches to stitch the edges down. So essentially a form of raw edge applique, because this isn't going to be getting too much wear and tear or anything. Because it's really going to be sitting on a display book on a shelf. So apart from the odd sort of hand touching it and having a feel of it, which is something that I don't mind happening, because I make my works to be quite tactile. Looks like a little bit of the interfacing hasn't fully stuck down there, but that's okay. That's not the end of the world at all. Probably just didn't heat it quite enough. So I absolutely could have used the panel as it was, but I thought, no, this is kind of showing how you can use a panel as a base, but then rearrange it. So here I don't really need the snowflakey bit. So I'm going to just bring it up so that those bits just become part of like the tree. And then after this I'll be able to position it on the pillow sham and work out how I want to attach those two to each other. I may well do my good old trick of using the good old Yoo-hoo glue just for a temporary attachment while we get stitching. And so yeah, this is where I'll continue, I think, the snow up the mountain. So put that aside as well. Actually put that on the floor because we don't need that on the bench right now. And that little bit's coming off too. And so I think I'll probably make this one just so it's kind of like the slope of the snow coming over. Great. Now, let's get some of our pillow sham. And whether we will make the whole piece, because that will give us a nice sort of thickish base to stitch into. So I'm thinking if I'm going to do that, I suppose I could leave the corners on and those could be folded over. Just having a look if they're going to be too thick when I fold them over the back of the card. I don't think that will be a problem actually. I can always trim it afterwards actually, can't I? Or I can cut this out, but then I need to think about what I want to see for the snowy bit, because I don't think I want these more geometric shapes. I really want the snow that I see to be more like this this stitching down here. I think that's kind of the snow that I want to see. Yes. So maybe we will actually cut out a piece of this just to the shape of the card. So I have so many friction markers, but sometimes I don't know where they all go. If not, I can use just a regular marker or a pencil. So yeah, I think this is what I want, unless I have that bit. Do I want any of those, like little tracks in the snow? Choices, choices. Yeah, no, I think I want the bottom section. Okay, so iPad has fallen over. Just looking. Oh, I might have taken. We had a crafty day in at work this week, and I might have taken my. Yeah, we were doing my little star decorations amongst other little stitchy and crafty things. So I took in my friction markers for that. So I'll just move it over. Take you up a little bit so you can see the. Hopefully see the full shandangle. There we go, sort of. Okay, down to here. That's done a pretty good marking actually, and I could have obviously marked on the back, but this is mostly going to be actually on one side, because I do want to be able to wrap this a little bit under. I can always cut another piece if I've made a minor boo-boo. Let's just have a look at how it's going to work. I was just having the thought that if I do want to take this a bit over, but I don't think I do. I think I'll be fine to then just mount this once I've done it onto another piece of cotton and then have that go over, and then I can just do some stitching over the edge, I think. Unless I do want to. Oh, nope, I definitely want this side. Yeah, I'll cut it out, and then I can always, everything you do is always just going to prompt another design choice. There's no right or wrong in slow stitching. But I do think if I'm trying to fold this over the edge, it will get a bit too thick. I think that will definitely work well as a page, and I can always just use a bit of eraser just to erase it off, and I don't think it's going to kind of run, or not run, but fringe too much at the edges. So let us now position and work out where we want our friend. So I think. And so we're obviously going to cut around him, so we will see a bit more of the snow. Whether we do want to just bring this up a tiny bit more. I might just trim off that bit where the interfacing is sticking out a smidge, and we don't need it all the way over. Yeah, it just didn't sort of stick down at all the points. And so maybe and I like that it kind of does look like little sort of trails or something in the snow. So I think the main thing will be to have this edge matching up coming down here. Yeah, that's fine, and I think I'll then just do like a little stitch over the edge. And these pages are going to join too, so it may well be I even put like a little bit of a lace or something down that edge. Yep, there's possibilities for sure. And then that will be like that. Yeah, I like that that's going up like that. I think that's going to work. So that is our base. Now let's get Mr. Stag cut out. I'll just have to think about with these. I suppose it doesn't really matter because it's almost like a bit of a silhouette with the snow forming part of it. But I'm just thinking how was the design thinking it was. But I think I'll put some like little stitchy bits around the outside, almost like sort of fur, or the coat of the stag, I suppose. Is it fur or a coat? They do these beautiful, in Japan they make these beautiful sort of, hanging decorative panels. I don't know if any of them are also used as, I think they are used in the home as well as actual towels as well, but they're beautiful. And sometimes you can get them quite affordably at some of their sort of version of the little $2 shops. There was one over there that I loved called Can Do. All sorts of lovely goodies. We have Daiso in Australia, which I used to shop in sort of pre-pandemic. I haven't been back there since. I'm not sure where this antler is meant to actually be showing, so I'll just kind of follow around with a bit of the shape for it. Okay, and sorry, I just went into my own little dreamland while I was stitching and went totally quiet on you. I won't say I forgot that I had company in my craft room on this Friday night when I'm filming this. Yeah, I think I'll put the photos of Japan in a community post just because it always makes it slow to upload when I do a cut together video. I'll see how I go though, because this one I suppose doesn't need to go up until tomorrow night. So I probably will have time to load. So maybe I'll change my mind and put some photos at the end. Now, yes, this one goes up like slightly hard to see where the antlers are meant to exactly be, but that's okay. It's all just impressions. But I like that this almost looks like a sort of a Japanese ink drawing in a field notes journal of someone in Japan. I don't know if they have the stags over there, but they definitely have them in Alpine Victoria, and then the Alpine Victoria landscape at times reminds me of the Japanese Niseko landscape. You might wonder why I'm using such large scissors. I actually find they just give me better control than the really little snippy ones, so not sure why. But they do. I've kept these ones very safe and only ever use them on fabric, so they are just beautifully sharp and lovely to use. Here we need to come down so that we'd have the legs coming down here, and then it's like the legs are fading away into the snow. So let's pop those out of the way. And then I'm thinking I might even with these legs sort of have him a bit more, or maybe actually down to the bottom like that. And then, yeah, I do like how his antlers then start to merge with the trees. I really do like that effect, I think. And whether I want him a bit more over here, and whether maybe, just so I don't even have to have his feet disappear into the snow, I might even move him down a smidge. But I think then around the base of these, I will do some stitching like the tree to really get the trees to go down into the snow. I think I probably do. Is that meant to be his other leg though? I'm just thinking this needs to come over a bit more like that, possibly. Or is his leg sort of coming down? I'm not sure. Not sure exactly what the drawing's trying to do there. How would the leg be? Not sure. Or does that actually need to just come around? I think that's okay. So I can put my card away because we don't need that right now. And I think we will have him like that and like that. So I probably don't even have to necessarily use my Yoo-hoo-y gluey. Do I? But it might come in handy actually just to get everything held in place while we do start stitching in, because then things won't be moving around. But again, I packed away all my Yoo-hoo glues to take into work, so they're still sitting in a tub. So I'm just going to pop around and grab myself a fresh Yoo-hoo for gluing. And I'll grab myself a piece of card to work on as well. Oh, sorry. Just buttered, not with my head, with my body. So if we say that's broadly where we want that to go up the top, so we know where to go back and glue it, let's then just give ourselves... Always feels quite decadent having a brand new Yoo-hoo glue, although it has been warm today, humid again, so it is good in humid weather to keep your Yoo-hoo glue in the fridge so that it doesn't get really gooey. Now I just need enough just to kind of hold this nicely while we stitch into it. So that's my bits down the bottom, and I was going to sort of position it broadly. I think broadly like that. And I just need to make sure that this side gets far enough across that I'm right up to the edge is the aim of the game. And this is a finished edge on the blue, so that won't have a problem with fraying or anything. Oops, let's make sure our tree is planted relatively straight on the mountain, and then we can put this side over, which will seal the top in nicely. And then I might also just take this bit over, seeing we've got that ready to anchor down. Right, just get the side to just be a bit more, be a smidge more stuck down. That might be actually my interfacing coming up, isn't it? Yes, and it's just folded over on itself. That's okay. So yeah, I think that's, to me, that's looking quite lovely. So we now need to stick down our lovely stag. Remind me in a moment, not that you can remind me in real time. I would like to pretend that you're in here chatting away to me, my lovely friends, my stitchy friends. Remind me to show you some beautiful buttons, vintage buttons or antique buttons from France that have stags and dogs on them, which arrived in the mail today from the lovely Julie at Mackin Morgan. She's a sort of a vintage antique seller of often lovely finds from France on Instagram. And so this is my first purchase from her, but I just, as soon as I saw them, I knew I had to have them. And they are beautiful metal buttons, and I've got a very special vintage antique inspired project for 2 of the buttons, so stay tuned for that as well. So Yoo-Hoo glue, if you haven't used it before, although I'm sure most folks would have and heard me talking about it, it is really good because it's acid free and it is nature based and solvent free, acid free, and it just forms just enough of a bond to hold things down while you stitch, but it doesn't make your needle sticky. Generally I will let it dry a little bit before I start stitching into it, but and it also is something that you can easily, down the track, if you decide you don't want your piece there, you can easily peel it off and reattach it. So I had pulled out some things that I could potentially use for stitching the piece down. So I've got this. If I wanted any whitey sort of more sheeniness, I've got this lovely fine one, a rayon. I've got some vintage gumnut yarns or secondhand gumnut yarns. This one's pure silk, and this one feels like it's, I'm pretty sure this one was also a gumnut yarns one. So I thought probably this one, I think, for stitching around the outside. What else have I pulled out? I've also peeled out this because I didn't know if I'd want any, but I think I don't want anything crinkly, so I'll put that aside. But whilst I remember, let me show you, and while we give this a little drying, let me show you these beautiful buttons. So this is an amazing, I'm going to actually bring you on, I'll just zoom in maybe. I don't know, is that going to work? A beautiful stag button, isn't that lovely? So these are all shanked buttons, and just look at the lovely hallmarks on the back. I don't know if that's even like a little bee or beetle hallmark. Or maybe it's a bee, which I know was a symbol of Napoleon. Imagine. Sure they're not, but yeah, it's definitely like a little beetle or bee. I'm sure it's a bee because these two are identical ones. So these are the ones that I'm thinking. Let me see if I tap if you can see better. It's sometimes hard with metallics. That's better. I think you can see a bit more that way. And then there is, I'm just going to, what I'll do is I'll bring you down but zoom you out a bit, and then I'll just see what level we can best show. So that's another beautiful stag. And then it's the dog ones, which I will show you as well because you know I love dogs. Here's another one of the beautiful stags. It's got a lovely patina or lovely sort of pattern to the back. And that's another dog one. Another gorgeous stag. Look how old this one looks. It looks like it's almost sort of, carved out of the metal. Oh, sorry, if I get it in frame, that would be even better. How lovely are these? So yeah, I'm going to have to study what's on them. And then there's another lovely, oops, sorry, bring it back. Another lovely jumping stag. And then we have some beautiful dog ones. This one's actually quite heavy, and again, it's got a beautiful imprint on the back. It's got Paris I'll have to read what else it says, but I've always loved these French metallic buttons with designs on them. I've got a beautiful little one I got from Lucello with a garden scene on it, which is on my Roxy trifold pouch. The two beautiful dogs, and then another lovely little dog. Another lovely dog again with that beautiful background on it. And another dog. As I say, these only arrived in the mail today, so I was just so thrilled when I got them. Another beautiful dog. And another lovely dog. What a beautiful collection, hey, and apologies for the glue on my fingers. So stay tuned for a project involving at least 2 of those buttons in another video. But back to this, let's thread up. What needle am I going to use? Again, did I steal away my good needles for the office? No, I think I've got something to use. So I don't know, maybe do we want to first of all, no, let's get a bit of the stag done, and then let's do a bit of the snow, and then I won't make you watch the entire process, but I will zoom you out again, I think. Hopefully I didn't make you seasick then. See how this goes. First of all, see if Christine can actually thread it. It was just a bit fluffy at that end. Do the turn the needle over. Nope. And if not, we'll try the other end, or we'll try just giving it a little trim. I do think sometimes this needle looks like it might have even been slightly flattened at one end, so I'm just going to give a different one a go. What's this one? There we go. We've got it. It was just that needle being mean to me. Now the only slightly annoying thing about these gum nut yarns is they're not that long sort of sections of thread, but that's okay. So what do we want to do in the way of stitching? I was thinking just little sort of little down stitches, almost just like bits of the fur. I think I might just need to bring you up and across a bit more. Let's just see how that goes. Oops, and we've unthreaded already, and we've already almost created a knot on the back, but we haven't. Okay, so I was just thinking little stitches down all the way around, which will serve to integrate our 2 pieces together, but also just add a bit more dimension to the stag. Oops. I don't think it even matters if a bit of this white sort of edging on the stag goes a bit more fringy. It almost looks just like a little snowflake sort of bristling on the fur. So yeah, I think this is just what I'm going to do all the way around. I feel like there's a little knot formed at the back there. Let's just see if we can get it out. I hope my camera is videoing. I feel like there's a little button up to the top of it. It still shows the time elapsing, so I'm guessing it's still videoing. So let me know what you're working on, and I hope our friends in the US have had a lovely Thanksgiving for those that celebrate. I know not everyone even my subscribers in the US do the whole Thanksgiving celebration, or they do it in their own way. But hopefully you have had some special time with special people in your life. And before we know it, we will be racing into the silly season. This year has just flown by. It's still very humid weather here in Melbourne, and I think in other parts of Australia as well. Very humid. It's cooled down tonight, which was lovely. Travis, the Black Labrador, was so happy to have cool air outside. He was rolling around, having a lovely time on the freshly watered lawn, and then rolling on his bed with a tennis ball that he'd found on his walk tonight with Alex. So he was a happy pup. So yeah, I think this is going to work great, and I love that it's kind of making the profile of this almost sort of sit out a bit from the page. I wasn't expecting that. I love when you get sort of like happy little accidents, things that actually work in your artistic favour. So yeah, I wanted to have a piece that wasn't too intricate for this 2-week period, because I do have so many other projects, particularly Christmassy projects, and also my family heirloom quilt that I really want to get stuck into. And sometimes I find I get so enraptured in the Roxy projects that it really doesn't leave that much time for other projects. And I do want to do that special little antique vintage project using those special buttons. So I might have to have that as a little link to this project. I suppose I could always display it actually with my Field Notes journal. There's a thought. I'll have it sort of clipped on. So you'll have to stand by for that one. I'll try and remember to tag it with Roxy's Journal of Stitchery as well. So it's not too bad stitching through this quilted pillow. I think it is a synthetic on the back, which sometimes isn't as nice as the cotton to stitch through. But it's going fine. So yeah, once I get to the end of this thread, then we'll do a bit of the sort of merging in the bits up the top, and we'll have a think of any other little sort of stitching detail we might want to put into the trees. I didn't know if I'd want to do some little stitches across with thread as well. Sorry, I just zoomed us out a bit because I realised I was still zoomed in. Not sure what that button is up there. Don't know. There's a little white circle on my camera dial that I'm sure is not normally there. I just clicked it, but nothing happened. The timer's still going, so I do hope you're with me still, stitching away. Yeah, I was really happy to come up with the idea of using this padded pillow sham. Again, it was one that I had come across recently when I was sorting through boxes of padded or sort of quilted pillow cases. And it was again waiting to kind of be put away. So it's funny the things often that we have from our stash that are most easily accessible or that are most freshly in your mind, often they'll be the things you reach for. But then I'm amazed how often I discover things in my stash that I just forgot that I even had. So next year is definitely the year for really really delving deep into my stash. I think I am reaching peak, certainly peak fabric. I'll still continue to collect those special vintage pieces, I think, because I know they are getting rarer and rarer, and the price for them is definitely going up and up as people discover their beauty and artistic value. Or possibly sort of resellers just discovering that they are a quite saleable item. But yeah, if you're in Australia and you do like lovely little sort of French finds, definitely check out Julie from Mac and Morgan on Instagram. Has such lovely things. And I think for the buttons, they were very reasonably priced for what they are. Oops, just unthreaded myself. I think we're almost getting to the point. I'll try and just get some more stitches out of this specialty thread, but I don't want to keep unthreading and drive you a bit nutty with that. So I think I'll probably tie off there. Tie off like that. So that's how that's looking. Oh, sorry, my phone is telling me we are low power as well. And so then let's do some stitching down here. Will I use, I think I'll give this one a go. It's a nice fine thread. In fact, I can probably even use a finer needle. So it looks good, I think. Almost pricked my finger then, but managed not to. Okay. So we start at this edge, and I'll just I'm just thinking I'll just kind of catch this edge over here, and again just put stitches in just to hold it, and I think the little bits of white will actually work okay, because the thread's really fine and it will just look like little bits of snow or whatever, just like, because it's already got that little stitching detail in it. And up here actually is where I might put some of those little animal prints in the snow, because one morning in Niseko in Japan, I watched and did a time lapse as all the little animals ran on the other hillside across from where we were staying. So we were looking out over the ski slopes, and on the other side the mountain kind of sloped right upwards, and there were trees and things on that, and yeah, watched all the little animals scurrying around and did a time lapse of it. I do love time lapses. You sometimes see things that you wouldn't otherwise see if you were just looking with your naked eye. So I can always come back and put some more in, just so that these are kind of, but this is at the moment just trying to get everything to sort of integrate together as a cohesive whole. But yeah, I think I prefer using the white because I wouldn't want the blue coming down onto it, so I think the white to me works better. And then here I'm wondering if this is where I would do some little lines across the tree, like the sort of the markings you get on, I think it's on the birches, isn't it? Hopefully it's not blinding you, the white of this. I might just, don't know, the camera wants to do its own thing, so we'll let the camera do. So I'm just going to do 3 little sort of lines coming across the tree here. And then I'll do another, might just do some other little ones down here. Yep. Okay, and do some more little lines here. And I think I'll do some of these lines up into the trees up in the blue area as well. So I think that will look good. And I like how fine this thread actually is. So probably don't need to do too much more of this. Let's just have a think, what am I going to do for the antlers? I think I might actually use a blue for them, apart from where the whites. I think a blue, so that it blends then into the background in the upper area. And I think I'll bring the blue right down to, yeah, where they are, because that's all blue area. So I'll probably need to pick out a nice blue. I might even actually use one of my Mako. I do love my Mako threads. I don't know if I've got them back in the stash at the moment. I've got this one, which is just a regular blue, but that's probably a bit too dark. So I think I am going to have to do some colour matching to find the perfectly right blue, but otherwise I can use one strand of embroidery thread. Let's just see what we've got. What about this one? That's more of a sort of royally blue. Sometimes you just need to see it at the one strand level to know if it's going to work. Let's just have a look at one strand. See, that's pretty good, I think. I think that would work actually, so we'll keep that one out because I think that's definitely better than that one. I do have other threads that aren't in my drawers here, but yeah, that's definitely the best of that. And then I've also got crochet cottons, but I think they're a bit too thick. So I think that's probably as much as I need to do with you. What I think I'll do, actually we might do that now. I think I'll just do a little overcast stitch down the edge to secure the edge, and it's good if I share how I'm doing that as well, in case you're thinking about how you tackle raw edges as well. Now, have I created a notch where I don't want one? I think we're okay. These are very nice little thread to stitch with, but it is so sort of, yeah, slinky, so fine. So I think I will use this for the edge. Put a little knot in it. And then what I'm thinking is, and in fact I do need it on both sides, don't I? Because I do have raw edges on both. Let's just take off the little frayy bits. So I'll come through from the back And then try not to catch the corner. Oops, and I've lost my knot has pulled all the way through because it is so fine, and the needle is so fine too. Try not to pull it through. If you are having problems with pulling through, it's good just to then start by putting a few stitches in place while you hold the end, and usually then those stitches will over the top of each other will kind of hold each other. Onto the corner. I just want to put a few up this way as well. And yeah, I can always come back and add more stitches if I need, but I just thought I'd show you the concept. And yeah, I think I'll probably end up backing this onto a piece of like white fabric that can then wrap underneath and over the page. But this will just serve to kind of, yeah, get the edges to be secure and not fray and not have any sort of like stuffing-y stuff popping out. Although the stuffing does look like snow. So I'll just do a bit of this with you, and then I will sign off, and I'll let you get on with your viewing or crafting pleasure, or both. But essentially, yeah, that's what I'm going to do down the edge, and then back it onto something like a white piece of fabric. I might even find something that's got a little, I think I've got some whites that have like a little like snowy print, or maybe even, sorry, I'm just grabbing things at random. I wouldn't use this one, but maybe even some little doily edgy bits that kind of, you can get some that look like little snowy scenes, so that could even be nice as well. And whether I do actually even, so maybe while I'm once the video's off, I'll do a little bit of searching around, but maybe even having some sort of little crochet border down the side could be good. And I'll have a look at my laces as well, because I do have like, this one's obviously not the right color, but these almost look like little snowflakes, and so I could have those down, or maybe even some little beading. Not sure. I will have a ponder, but I'll leave it that there for now. I'll continue stitching around, and then I might come back with you to do some little animal prints. I'll study up some designs of animal prints, and I thought they could be really lovely to put in the snow, and I might do those in a sort of a lighter blue, because often when you get a stamp in the snow, it will just look like that sort of like very pale bluey, as though it's an indent where it's got a little bit of shadow. So I think that could work. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed seeing my very special buttons, and hopefully that's given you some ideas as well. I'll have to also have a think about where I want to put my little cutout and put my little friend the rabbit, but I might wait till I've done the other, or do that in the next one when I work out the composition for the little animal prints. So thanks for watching, and I will speak to you soon. Bye everyone.